Happy July! Oh, yes. A few of us are dressed in the red, white, and blue garb today. And normally, typically, it has been in the past that I have chosen as our theme for July that of freedom. It just seems to kind of be a natural because of 4th of July and the recognition of the independence of our nation and so forth. And yet, we have just begun a prosperity class that I thought, you know what, I'm going to change it up a bit this month, and instead of doing the freedom thing all month, we're going to go into prosperity in more depth. But before I get into my topic today, we are basing this whole month on prosperity, which is the title of the book that Charles Fillmore wrote in 1936. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity. And today's topic is entitled Spiritual Substance. But before I dive into that, I do want to touch base on this idea of freedom and the recognition that I feel we, as members of and living in this land that we call the United States of America, we are so blessed. And we are blessed because of our founding fathers. They were wise, and they had within them a conviction, a knowing that there is a higher power. They left their homeland not in search to have freedom from religion, as many today think that, but they came here for freedom of religion. Many of them, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine, were intimately connected with the Rosicrucian community of the day. The Rosicrucians date back to Egypt. Ancient Egypt. They started in the 1500 BC. And I wanted to give you just a little brief scenario of what their beliefs are and where they're coming from. The Rosicrucians were the ancient and mystical order of Rosicrucius, which is known as AMORC, those initials. The ancient mystical order of Rosicrucius. That's the Latin form. Rosicrucius means literally rose cross. Now this started way before the Christian cross symbol came into existence. This cross that they developed as their symbol represented the human body. Leonardo da Vinci would, his drawings have that, okay? And then the rose, there's an unfolding rose in the center of that human cross that represents the unfolding of the consciousness of the human. And if you go on their website today, it is totally, fully an active way that people celebrate and commune and are living with this higher power. If you look at what they espouse, you will see quite a few parallels between the Rosicrucians and the religious scientists. And as far as that goes with the yogis and Paramahansa Yogananda, there is this universal knowing that there is this one energy force and that it is love. And so I wanted to, and that's what our forefathers, you see, brought to this nation, brought to this country with them, knowing and celebrating this higher power that is within them. That's why they trusted what they were doing. And they knew that this higher power was directing them as they asked for that leading. So I wanted to acknowledge that we are so blessed to be living in this land based on the knowing that there is a higher power. And I think that it is up to us to continue in that vein and to allow ourselves to know that this higher power is still here leading us as we go within and ask for that grace, as we heard in that beautiful song. So, our teachings are ancient in their roots, literally. So as I look back now and I think about Charles Fillmore was one of those mystics himself in another era. He and his wife, Myrtle Fillmore, co-founded the Unity movement. And he wrote the book Prosperity in 1936. And that first chapter is entitled Spiritual Substance, the Fundamental Basis of the Universe. He talks about the fundamental basis of the universe being this substance which is inexhaustible. There is no way that there is an end to it. There is no beginning, there is no end to it at all. He put it this way: the spiritual substance from which comes all visible wealth is never depleted. It is right with you all the time and responds to your faith in it and your demands on it. It is not affected by our ignorant talk of hard times, though we are affected because our thoughts and words govern our demonstration. The unfailing resource is always ready to give. It has no choice in the matter. It must give, for that is its nature. Pour your living words of faith into the omnipresent substance, and you will be prospered. Turn the great energy of your thinking toward plenty ideas. And he went on to talk about the teacher, the great teacher that we had, Jesus the Christ, the master teacher. Jesus told us to seek first the kingdom and its righteousness, and all things will be added unto us. I mean, Jesus talked parable after parable about the kingdom of heaven. And as I wrote in the thought for the week, I know we've already read this within this room, but I'm doing this because some people may not have been in this room that are listening to me now, watching me now. So I wanted to say that the Greek language in which the New Testament came to us, Jesus did not use the word heaven, but the word heavens in his teaching. He was not telling us of the glories of some faraway place called heaven, but was revealing the properties of the heavens all around us. These heavens are the inexhaustible substance that creates and supports life on earth. Seek ye first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Jesus said he was the substance and the bread that came from the heavens. Jesus knew what he was. He knew his oneness with the One. Jesus further explained the simplest, shortest, and most direct way of accessing this consciousness he possessed and told us we could have as well was whoever shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that which he saith come to pass, he will have it. Doesn't that sound great? Just whatever I speak, that's going to happen. Yay. How do you seek the kingdom? It's great to say that. I'm going to seek the kingdom, but how do you do it? How do you commune with this substance that is invisible? That's spirit, that's source, that's energy, right? One of the first things that we need to recognize, like anything else, what is invisible but we know we have it? It's a thought. You can't see a thought. You can't feel a thought. You can't hear a thought. Although sometimes in our physicalness we think we can hear, well, yeah, that thought came to me, but from where? The thought came to you from the ethers. That's what Fillmore's word is for it, the ethers. So that thought is our direct link, our direct connection to that substance, that source, is through our thought. We have to keep in mind, as we talked about last week, how many of you remember what we talked about last week? Abundance? How many zeros are in a quintillion? Was it 18? This life force is infinite, is inexhaustible. What we need to remember is that it is all there is. And that we are in and of and as it. Totally, all the time. Never any drawback, never any, oh, well, you know, maybe one of these days I'll get there. It is done unto us as we believe. So what do you believe? You can see it demonstrated in your life if you have any question. We're talking this month about amping up the ante, about diving deeper into this knowing of what we are, these infinite beings. We need to know that this life energy is renewable. How many new species are being, discovered every year? This life force energy lives in the present now, in the moment, and it is unfolding and revealing more of itself all the time, as should we. And yet so many of us get stuck in the path of, this is what I thought about yesterday. That's what I think about today. How many thoughts did we have? 70,000, and how many of them are repetitive? 85%? 65? I've heard 95, or something, not in this room. Well, it depends on what you're thinking. Groundhog's Day. So we need to recognize that we are so immersed in and of this creative energy, in this force that is always doing something new. And we want to be in that flow of it, in that flow of something new. Now, the spiritual law tells us that it is done unto you as you believe. So we're going to believe that I am ever releasing new energy. I'm ever stepping forward. I'm trusting. You see, I'm trusting that what I have within me is leading me. And how does it have to do that? Well, it needs an invitation. It doesn't do it on its own. We need to ask. We need to seek. We need to go within to our heart of hearts. We need to ask, what is it that the Spirit, this infinite source, has on its agenda for me this day, and trust it. Be open to it. Be saying, yeah, I'm ready for it. Oh, by the way, we launched our new software program at work on Friday. I've been giving you a little taste of that we've been doing this new thing, and oh man, it was exciting. You've never seen so many people running around to so many different desks saying, and what did you do? How did that happen? What do we do now? Oh my gosh. Well, I'm typing here. We had to practice. We practiced all this stuff all the time. And then when we practiced, it worked fine. And then somebody was at my desk because we were entering a new prospect, commercial insurance. And so we're doing it. Let's do this new one. So and we did this and bring up the application, and we're going to type in, because the coverage limits are very, very important in insurance land. You want to know that you got $1 million limit if you've got a commercial policy. So we're going to type in 1 million, 1, comma, 0, all the zeros. It wasn't typing in. He's pushing the button, pushing the 1, the 0. Nothing's happening. How can that be? This is like one of the most important things, and it's not working. Breathe, step back. You see, this is a metaphor for life, isn't it? Because we are always stepping into something new. And we think that we know how it's going to work. And what happens? Spirit changes it up. Spirit pulls the rug and says, oh, you think you're going to get up on the bed and move that fan switch a little bit? And guess what? I'm flying through the air. Life is for us all the time. even in the midst of something that appears not so. When we keep ourselves new to and available to that openness of it, you see? Charles said, "Make a definite and detailed covenant with the Father. Lay your desires, your appetites, and passions at his feet, and agree to use all your substance in the most exalted way. Then you are seeking the kingdom, and all things else shall be added unto you." One of the very points that he makes is the recognition that we are to get what I love what Emerson said, we are to get our bloated nothingness out of the way. In other words, stop thinking so much of your own personal self and get the bigger picture. That there is one power, one presence, and we are all in and of it. And as we come from that standpoint, where we want to come from then is this idea of service, this idea of giving. That the more that we give, the more we have to give, because we are giving from this inexhaustible source that we are. Right? Somebody in our prosperity class was saying, I've been learning this stuff for years. I've been trying to get it, but I keep going to the ocean with a thimble. I want to go to the ocean with a bigger container. And that's what we're talking about here. Now, when you go to the Father and you lay out your desires and your appetites and your passions, I'm going to ask you just to consider the idea. He's not talking about chocolate. Our desires. What is a desire? De is of, sire is father. Our true desires are of the Father. They're way beyond chocolate. They are, in my estimation, the way and the manner and the means that we can express and let out and let go this infinite love that we are. How can I love better? How can I love more givingly, more freely, more joyously? And that's really the truth of it. As this prosperity program that we just started. By the way, if you still want to join us, you can come Monday night. There's still room. Let me know though, because I got to make some copies of the materials. But it was developed by Reverend Michelle Whittington in Phoenix. And it's a combination. She's done a beautiful job of bringing together the unity information and from Charles Fillmore, the religious science information. She uses Catherine Ponder. All sorts of wonderful New Thought teachers are entwined in this program. But I went to a workshop that she gave back in January. It was called The Divine Feminine. And here she taught us to go home. And what home is our gut. When we remember to remember, and she said like 100 times a day, remember to go home, to go within into your source and ask. And as we bring that energy of our consciousness into our gut, we bring it up to our heart level, to our heart chakra, which blends in that love energy. And then we bring it up to our mind and to our thoughts. And as we have those three in correlation with each other, that's when we are really available to let this spirit that's infinite work through and from us in that regard. So the first step in bringing this unseen supply to our experience is what? I've already given you the clue. It's your ideas, your mental, what you're thinking. is the first step in bringing this substance into existence. Now, what Jesus said too is that who shall ever not doubt in his heart? So we need to believe, we need to trust, we need to have that faith that if this idea came to me, and so many times, in our meditations, we'll have some fabulous idea, and we'll go, and the first thing we'll gulp, we'll say, oh my gosh, but how's that going to happen? I can't do that. I don't have blah, 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 blah. And we immediately affirm our limitations. If it is a desire of the Father, you don't have to know the how right now. It will work out in that wonderful thing called spirit speed, which many times is unknown to us. And for us people who like to have control, it's more of a challenge. So the third thing in demonstrating and bringing into manifestation these ideas and what we believe is through our spoken word. What we speak about, we bring about. That just adds another element of the energy to it, is in that spoken word. That's why in our homework, those of you who are in the class, have you been reading your affirmations? Did you see? You're supposed to read those affirmations every day, twice a day. The big old long list. Have you been doing that? I don't see any hands up. Let me give you an example of what some of them are. I mentally accept the possibility of something greater for myself. See, we're here to enlarge our awareness, our consciousness of who and what we are. The present is my point of power. I am not confined to the ways and methods of the past. We are all on this cutting edge. And we're all looking at the computer screen going, what? It's doing what, or it's not doing that? I give my tenth to God and reap 100-fold increase. As I give consistently, I open the way to receive consistently. Those are just a little snippet of some of our affirmations for this last week. So our spoken word is the thing that brings us the results in our life. Be aware of not only what you're thinking, but what you're saying. It will come to pass. Say the good stuff. When somebody backed into my car, a couple weeks ago, and I said Emma Curtis's Hopkins, affirmation. This too is God, this too is good, and I demand to see the good in it now. And you know what? I'm not going into the details, but it's good. It's happening. It's all good. So I wanted to sum up today with the prayer of supply that we are also reading in the class by Ernest Holmes, because I think it just sums up what I've been trying to lay out in this topic today. It says, everything in nature moves in circles. What goes out must come back. Unless the seed is sown, it cannot bear fruit. There must be a planting time for every harvest. Who gives all, receives all. Who refuses to give limits the possibility of the greater good returning to him. Love, and you will be loved. Extend yourself, and you will be joyful. Jesus said, give, and it will be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together and flowing over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that ye measure, it shall be measured to you again. We do not give because God needs the gift, but because the giving increases, broadens, and deepens the life of the giver. Nor do we give from the standpoint of duty. The universe refuses to bargain with us. It already has given us everything it has. But it also has provided that the gift of life can be received in its fullness only as it flows through us to the fullness of others. How perfect is the law of good, and how glorious the opportunity to join with the infinite giver in the givingness of itself to the joy of life. Get it, really get it this week, that there is one, and we are in and of and as it, and as we give this one, we are giving back to ourselves. There is no difference in the gift and the giver and the receiving of it. That's what life is about, one continuous big circle. And yes, it's the party planet. So we're here to smile. We're here to have a good time. We're here to enjoy it and say thank you, and be blessed in the blessing of it. And so it is. Namaste. Namaste.